Hello, and welcome back to Feature Friday. I hope everything is going well for all of you and you're surviving all the weather issues out there. I'd like to introduce today our special guest. We have Lexi Bushard, who's here with us, who's going to talk a little bit with us about navigating content on the learning site. So if you are joining us live today, again, as always, let us know where you are, what you teach. Put something in the comments and let us know how you're doing.
You could even share what the weather's like, since it's so crazy across this wonderful country. It's very different.
Yes, so today we're going to be talking about how to navigate that content on the learning site. So it is a time of transition in a lot of schools and districts across the country. Maybe the end of a new marking period, start of a new, or the end of an old marking period, start of a new marking period. You might have a brand new course that you are starting right now. So we're here today to talk to you and show you some tips and tricks for navigating that content as you're perhaps looking at that new course, or maybe some of the things that you didn't know about the current course you've been working in all school year. We're going to explore the content tab, and we're also going to be exploring a little bit with the compass icon in the flex text. So if you have any kinds of questions as we're going through, or you have an idea that you'd like to share with us, please put it in the comments, and we will do our best to answer your questions.
Okay, so as always, we're going to give you a quick demo. And as we do this today, we're going to be discussing some tips and tricks, like Amy said. So we'll take you on a little tour and we'll start exploring. So when you first log into the learning site, you're going to land on that dashboard. And when you click into an Explorer class, the first place that you arrive from that Explorer class link is your content tab. So this is where everything is housed. And you'll notice, if you haven't already, that there are two ways that you can navigate through this content. There is a left side menu, which can be collapsed for an easier view. And then there's this main reading kind of window or pane. In each of these different views, all the content, everything that we have on the learning site is organized in a folder structure. So you could use these arrows to expand and kind of get a glimpse as to the what all the different folders are, what all the different content is. And then you could click in from this left side, or you could dig into the content by selecting a folder or one of our content resources or our links directly here in this middle viewing window. Lex, do you want to describe a little bit about the content of the folder structures?
Sure. I think it just really depends on which textbook you're teaching out of. So the better that you know the sections of the textbook, the easier it's going to be for you to navigate that content tab. So if I click into a unit, I can see here that all the different sections of my textbook chapter or unit are going to have their own folder. And keep an eye out also that In Camino or the J'avance formative assessment will always have its own folder. And the Vive entre Culturas, or JARI for the French, will also have its own folder for that summative assessment. So those are good markers to always look for when you're clicking in and looking for different materials.
And so then within each of those folders, sometimes you're going to find, so for example, in the Comunica and Explora, you're going to find some additional folders, and you can kind of click through here. And as you get into those subfolders, you're going to notice that then we have all of these different activities and resources outlined, and they have these icons, which you can get a quick glance of what that activity is when you're kind of just exploring and digging through into each of those folders. Now, each of these icons relate to the icons that you'll see in the flex text, whether you're accessing that through the learning site or in the digital version or in the printed version. So you're going to see those golden icons in the flex text and the printed text. And then in that content tab on the learning site, you will see related icons that are in that teal color. Some of the ones that you may notice are going to be, let me go ahead and add my screen back in. You'll notice that there are these stopwatch icons. You'll see that there are videos. So as you're going through, you'll get a quick visual and it will help you find those activities very quickly.
And that's also easy for students as well. They're very, it's a lot easier for them to know this is the icon that I'm looking for to find whichever assignments that you have, you're asking them to complete.
Definitely. And so as you know, you're getting that quick glance, you're exploring. You also can use our search and browse filters and features that we have here. So up at the top, you're going to see that we have 3 different ways that you can explore. Along with clicking through and exploring on your own, you can really narrow your focus by using the search and the browse feature. So here we can explore by sections. So perhaps I just want to look for specific unit resources. My personal favorite is content type. So if I know that, maybe I need my students, we're really looking for some video resources, I can click on that video content type filter. And then I can also apply and see, well, what are all the videos in unit 4? So that's going to really narrow my focus and narrow my search even more. If there's something particular that I'm looking for, maybe I'm, we're in a school unit, so maybe I'm looking for something about, let's say, we'll just type in escuela. Anything that has that keyword or phrase, and this could be, you could search in the target language, you can search in English, is going to pull out any of those resources. And then at the top, you're going to see the type of activity it is. So it's going to give you a written description of the type of activity that it is or the type of resource that it is. And then you'll also be able to see, again, those icons. They're just not as large. So you'll see here that this is a document, and then we have a task activity here. Also in this search, we see the breadcrumbs, which is really helpful. So you're going to see the main folder that this activity is located in, and then those subfolders as well. These are clickable. So if you say, oh, I want to learn more about what other activities go with this extension, I can click right here and be taken into that subfolder. So those breadcrumbs still work up at this top area as well. And then I can explore more in this folder. All right. So the other thing that is great about the content tab beyond exploring is that you can actually set your settings of what you would like to be shown and hidden. So this is really great because when you select to hide content, it's actually hidden from student view, but you as the teacher can still access everything. So to hide something, so for example, I've hidden my resources, you can select everything off at a major level and then just choose the individual units that you want shown. You could select or deselect. So for example, I want to deselect my resources. I can select that at the folder level. But then by clicking into each of these individual folders and sections, you see I can expand that menu, and I can even hide things down to the individual activities. And that will help with what your students see on the content tab. So
and even if something is hidden from students, they're still able to complete that task if you assign it to them.
Yes. So what we'll see here is now if let me go ahead and show you. So here I've hidden the resources folder from my students view. So in my students view, you'll see that they just see the units. And then if I choose to select more things to hide, I could take off some of these units. Then that will, on my content tab, let me go back over here. You'll see that those are grayed out for me. So I know that they've been hidden. And then when I refresh my students tab, now you'll see a more narrowed focus. So that's really going to help with your students as they are engaging with content and engaging with the learning site. It's going to help to reduce that cognitive overload, right? By cleaning up what they see, adding more space, the white space of the screen, and keeping them focused.
When I was teaching with Entre Culturas, the first thing that I did at the beginning of the semester was go into that settings tab and hide all of those summative assessment folders and formative assessment folders. And I've had some conversations with teachers where they're really worried about, oh, I need to go set up my class. But the great thing about this platform is there's not really anything to set up. The only thing there is to do at the beginning of the year, I think, is to go in and hide those folders that you want hidden. So that's a really nice feature, in my opinion, that that's the only thing I really need to worry about. The other thing that I did too as well, besides hide those summative and formative assessment folders, was maybe I'm only going to get through units 1 through 3 in first semester. So I would just go ahead and hide that content from second semester that we're not looking at yet. Or I could even go in, like Tara did earlier, and hide everything and just make that one folder visible that we're going to be working on right then.
Yeah, and you'll see that as I'm clicking through there and hiding them, it updates on the student side very quickly, right? So with that simple refresh, they're going to see that hidden content. So it can be a very simple process of going into your settings tab and making something visible or making something hidden for those students. The other great thing is we will talk about assignments, but your students, even if they're hidden, right, they're still able, the content is still able to be assigned by the teacher. So you don't have to necessarily worry about unhiding this content, and you could still create that assignment. But we'll talk about that next week. All right, so the other place that we can look for content, of course, on that content tab, but is actually in the flex text. So I'm going to dig into the student version. And what you're going to see is that this compass icon, so if you want to explore the textbook and see all of the different related activities that go with a particular section of that flex text, this compass icon is going to give you a lot of great resources and jumping off points. So what we see in this particular activity is that we have a form that's related, and we also have a document assignment that's related. Now, when you click on these, you have a couple options. So you can click this gray square, which I know is really hard to see, but you can quickly click that, and it will open that resource up for you in a new tab. So here I land back in my content tab, but I'm directly on that activity. And what that allows me to do then is have these quick buttons where I can assign it, I can check it out, see what the prompt is, explore that individual resource more. And then I can go back to my tab that I have open with that flex text page. And maybe I can go and say, well, what's this document assignment, or what does that look like? So that's an option for opening it up in a new tab, but you also can just click directly on this link, and it will take you to that activity. So again, I can just, let me grab a different one here. Here we go. So if I click on this link, it's a hyperlink, then in the tab I was currently in it's going to take me to that task activity. And again, I'm going to have all of those options for me as a teacher. I'm going to have preview, attempt, grades, assign. Now your students will not see all of those. When your students access something in the flex text, so if they are maybe looking for activities that they would like to do, maybe you're doing something in class, maybe you've asked them to go look for an additional activity to complete on their own. When they click on that compass icon, they can listen to audio directly here. They can access, related activities such as tasks. And what they see instead is just the attempt and the grades button. So that grades button is where they're going to be able to review their own scores. Do you guys think there's anything else that we want to share, Lexi or Amy?
I just want to say that when I was teaching with Entre Culturas, I typically use the flex text to plan. So the content folder is great if I know exactly where I'm going and exactly what I want. But typically, like all teachers, I was scrambling oftentimes, as we do. And if I scroll through the flex text and I knew which pages, I wanted to cover that day. So for example, I wanted to do this Así se dice section. I would just scroll through, see what the content was, and then find those compasses. And that compass was going to easily lead me exactly where I wanted to go to see all of that other content that was related. So as a teacher, that compass icon scrolling through the flex text was really my saving grace and the way that I really preferred to plan.
Yeah, and I think the ability to watch the videos, now this is an audio, you can also do this with videos as well, to be able to preview that and listen to it right there, right as you're planning. maybe seeing, is this an activity I want my students to do now? Is it what I want them to do later? That's a really great tool to be able to hear that audio, not have to click into it, again, and then you would be able to plan accordingly.
And even I would just project this exact page on the screen and read through it with my students and see that audio icon pop up, and I just click and be able to play the audio right there. It was very convenient.
And it's also something that if you're working through the flex text with your class and you decide you may pivot what you were planning on doing with the lesson, you can have students go directly to that compass icon, complete the activity in the moment, even without assigning it to them in advance. So being able to scroll through and use that compass icon with those related activities, you could differentiate from that compass icon as well. You complete this assignment, you complete this assignment from that compass icon.
Yeah. And so remember, these icons are going to be your best friends, right? So I see this gold icon. I see it's a video. So I know when I click that compass icon, I'm going to be able to see that video resource. And I, of course, can play that directly. Like, Amy and Lexi were saying, I can pop that out so it's a full screen. And then that will be like an additional tool as I'm teaching as well.
So many, many different points of entry for planning. If you're planning, you can access through the flex text, access through that content tab. There's really a variety of ways to get in there and be able to look at and manage your assignments and materials. So we do want to thank you again for joining us this week. Next week, we will be talking about how to manage assignments on the learning site. So now we've looked at where you can find those assignments. Next week, we'll talk a little bit more about once you assign something to students, what's that next step? How is it organized? How do you give that feedback? How do you, et cetera, all of those things with managing those assignments. So if you have any questions that you would like answer from either today or something that you'd like us to touch on in that next segment, let us know. You can either email us at instructionaltechnology@waysidepublishing.com. You can also get in touch with us through that help button. And there are a lot of resources through that help button that can also assist you with the navigating of content as well. Lots of video tutorials, FAQs, etc., to help you out. So we hope you enjoyed today's live stream, and we wish you well. See you next time.